Hi, everyone. It's Brad Weber, your annual meeting MC and host. And I am so excited today to have this conversation with these two amazing people who I'm going to let them introduce themselves real quick and we're going to dive right in. So, Karen, over to you.
I'm Karen Smilowitz, and I'm the program chair for the annual meeting.
And I'm Julie Higle. I'm the general chair for the meeting.
And you're both smiling. So
it's been a breeze. This has been just autopilot.
I'm sure that when you put your hand up and volunteered for this a few years ago, you were like, yeah. And has it been what you expected?
Oh, it's been so much more than what we expected.
Well, tell me about it. How's it been going? Karen, you're still smiling, so obviously it didn't bother you too much.
You know, I think that the community's been really flexible, and I think we've got a great program ahead, and it's been great teamwork throughout. So we're ready to kick it off.
For sure, well, we had a great team. There's no way we could have done this without all the people who chipped in to help, from the informed staff all the way out to everyone on our program committee, and all the membership that pitched in and helped when we needed it.
So no question about it. It definitely takes a village. So why don't you kind of share with some of the committee work and do some shout outs on a lot of the people that were involved in this.
You want to take that, Karen?
Sure. I think one of the things that was really important to us from the beginning, the beginning, I'll say, was about a year ago when we didn't really know what this fall was going to look like. And so working with the informed staff, we very quickly got all the communities involved. You know, if you think about informs as kind of a federation of all these different sections and societies and fora. And so as we started planning, it was important for us to have these meetings, not just with our organizing committee, but also with representatives from all of the different communities and give them options. You know, we talk a lot about this being a flexible conference, but it also was a lot about giving options to the communities to plan their experience for their members.
Julie's other thoughts?
I mean, we've got great job that was done by Lauren Davis and Jesse Talley, who put together the Committee's Choice program. What they did was they reached out to the leadership of the different societies and the cluster chairs, et cetera, and asked what they'd like to highlight. And then they nominated them back to the committee, and then our committee chose from that. And we've got an amazing lineup, even if you just go to the Committee's Choice things. Let's see who else. There's Hollet Ooster and Renata Conrad, who put together the poster sessions. They did an amazing job. I mean, I think that even as we speak, most of the posters are up and are being judged, and they're way ahead of the ball on that. So that's been quite amazing. Ken Murphy was in charge from UC Irvine, was in charge of the local arrangements. Normally, the job of that involves among other things, getting the student participation and the student helpers to help at the with the information displays and things like that. You run into them all the time at Informs Conversation. This year, you're going to run into them in person and virtually. So we've got a whole platoon of students that are working throughout the meeting, over 120, as I understand it, from schools, 15 schools, all across the country, not just in Southern California.
That's wonderful. Well, you just touched on something. So this event obviously is going to be a multi-access event. You know, we'll have the live audience, but we'll also have the virtual. So why don't you talk a little bit about, how we're going to engage and how we're going to make sure there's content available for everybody, regardless how they're going to access the meeting. Karen, I'll throw that one to you.
Sure. So one of the things that I was talking about, you're really engaging the communities. So if you look at the program, there are the in-person sessions, there are the virtual sessions, and then there's a group of hybrid sessions. And so featured in the hybrid sessions will be the plenaries, the keynotes, some award sessions. But we also really wanted to give the communities a chance to think about how they wanted to use that space. So one of the things that Julie and I did is we reached out to, as I mentioned, all of the communities, and we said, let us know what you want to do. Would you want to have panels in there, featured speakers? So I would encourage everyone to look at those hybrid sessions because it really represents some of the best of Informs and some really neat ways to bring the two communities together.
Julie, other thoughts around that?
Oh, I want to emphasize Karen's comments about the hybrid sessions. We've worked really hard on that, and there's a tremendous diversity of ideas in terms of how people wanted to use that to bring both sides of their communities together, both the live in-person side as well as the virtual side. and bringing them together to have some coordinated activities. I'm wildly excited and to see how that's going to turn out. So I plan to spend some time in there.
Well, and what's great too is that the content will be available well after the meeting as well. So you can be doing, look at something, that's what the crazy thing when you go on site is you're like, oh, I got that choice to make. Which one am I going to go to? And now there'll be so much more availability for that access. And there are a lot of things to choose from. So why don't you talk a bit more about some of the other kind of fun highlights and other kind of special events that people should be excited about?
Informs is known for its great tutorial series for, I don't know how many years now. I think I was in the first one, which was a long time ago. But they're sort of known for putting together a great tutorial series at every meeting. This year that's been organized by John Carlson, and he's got all sorts of speakers lined up to sort of introduce you to topics that you maybe always wanted to learn about but didn't have a chance to, and sort of to pitch it at not at the expert level, but at the extremely interested and extremely talented observer level. So those tutorial series are always great. I think John's done a great job of putting that together too.
Great. Karen, other thoughts about kind of some of the key fun things that you're looking for?
Yeah, I think check out the business meetings. We're gonna have some business meetings in person during the meeting, and some societies have chosen, some sections, is they'll do the business meeting the week before, but there'll be some networking on site. So kind of think about that. Some of the communities have decided to do everything the week before to engage everyone. So look for that. There's still the award ceremony Sunday night, the general reception Tuesday night. So there's going to be a lot of fun events for everyone in person, and all the plenaries and keynotes will also be live streamed over virtual. So that's a great way to bring both of our communities together. Yeah.
Everything you've come to expect from an Informs meeting will be here. And here is wherever you're at, so if you're here and live, you're going to get that experience that you've always looked forward to. If you're out there virtually, you're going to see that as well. And we hope that we have put together things that engage people simultaneously as well as independently. So I'm hopeful that this works out as well as we think it will.
I think it's going to work out great. I am so excited to be there and to, obviously be there, but also I'm really excited about the 6,000 plus that are in the virtual world. And I want to talk to those in the virtual world about, something that came up to me recently during a conference I was working with, where this person said, I've been trying to get a hold of this person for 5 years on site, and I was able to locate them in the chat and had a conversation. So there's going to be these amazing network chat opportunities, and you're not going to have to stand there like, I can't get to that guy. So definitely know that we're working very hard to have that connectivity with you. You're going to have a chance to talk to presenters. You're going to have chats with them. And one of the things I plan on doing is going around and making sure you get to see some of the exhibits. We'll have other interviews on the spot. So we're going to stay connected. Julie, other thoughts around that virtual energy?
I'm just dying to see how it turns out. I mean,
it's going to be great.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see what parts of the virtual experience we keep for future years. I think there were some, I think, Julie mentioned the poster sessions. I think there's some elements of the judging that was able to happen beforehand that was done because it was virtual. So I hope that people continue to give us their feedback, because that certainly helped, having feedback from last year, thinking about this year. And hopefully we'll all be in person next year, but there may be parts that we've just learned, like you said, being able to access the talks afterwards is really nice.
It's huge. It's huge. And I think there's going to, will be so much fun. And I'll be checking in with the virtual crowd to find out who's here for the first time. And maybe they haven't been able to make it for several years. And now's their chance they can actually attend. So the depth and breadth of touching so many more people through this multi-access environment, I think is really, really cool.
And Brad, we got to give a shout out to the Inform staff on that. That was a huge lift. I know none of us, everyone likes to do their talk on the plane the night before. Believe me, I get that. We all do our talks on the plane the night before. But the staff, this is not what a normal Informs is. And for them to take all of those talks and put them up and do all that. So if we can all just, like, if you're watching this, just clap, thank an Informs staff member, because that was a huge lift.
You know what? It takes a village. It sure does, doesn't it? So I want to ask you a bit about the theme. So can you give us, a lot goes into, themes and what do you want that total experience to be? So Julie, give me a little more insight, as a novice here on how that theme came about.
How did the theme come about? I hardly remember that. It just when Karen and I first started talking about this, it just sort of like burst forward. When you think about all the urban areas throughout all of Southern California, it just seemed like a natural. And the whole idea of analytics within the context of the urban environment, we have homeless, we have housing issues, we have transportation issues, we have healthcare issues. I mean, and at very large scale because of the size of the population in this area. And so it just seemed like a natural way to think about using analytics to better the lives of an awful lot of people.
Karen, anything else you want to add about, how that all came about?
And it's so interesting because I'm thinking back to the work that Jesse and Lauren are doing with the Committee's Choice, where the topics are around urban analytics. And it was so easy for all of the clusters to bring forth ideas, because urban analytics isn't just, there's a couple people in one section or society doing it. It was really broad across the Informs community. And so I think, and all of these are on virtual program and couple in person and hybrid, so you can check out the communities, and it really shows the breadth of work that's being done within the Informs community.
No question about it. So I have a final question for you. So I do this with everybody I talk to. I'm a very silver lining. I'm a very, the glass is full kind of guy. So I want to ask you both. You've had a lot to go through as far as this convention and all that, and also there's just been this other thing that's been going on for a couple of years almost. So what is one thing that you have done for yourself, for self-care during this time, that you're going to really keep trying to do as we move forward? And you can't say that you drank a lot of wine, okay?
It was bourbon. I drank a lot of bourbon.
So what is that? So Julie, I mean, besides the bourbon, what else does you have some grace that you have found during this crazy time?
Oh, I wish I'd known you were going to ask that. So I found, you're talking about pandemic in general, or
Sure.
trying to plan it through pandemic?
Both. And just kind of how you do some self-care and take care of yourself during these
Yeah, I found that, living in the Los Angeles area, traffic is a big deal. Not commuting was very helpful. I did find that it was actually, some elements of it were calmer. It was, you could manage your time a little bit better because not everything was happening really fast in front of you the way it does. And so to me, that there was a takeaway there in terms of learning about, how I want to manage stresses and things like that going forward.
That's so critical and so important. And thank you. And I'm sorry to bop that question at you, but I always love to ask people that. So Karen, you had a minute to think.
All right. The answer that popped in my head right away is what I tell everyone. I got one of those big, ridiculous pandemic pools, those 14-foot diameter above ground pools. And it was amazing for my health, but also for my work. I mean, I think we all needed to get away from our computers, and I would print things out. And there is an assistant professor who got a career award, and I read her career proposal, gave her some advice from that pool. And so I feel like great things came out of my pandemic. She knows who she is. I hope she's watching. I think it got me out of away from my Zoom screen, and was a great way to be outside doing this work. So
good for you. And I hope you told her that you read that in the pool,
Oh no, she can't. You can't disclose.
Okay. Well, thank you both for so much. Thank you for everything that you have done from the moment whenever you decide to do this, and then what you've had to walk into. I mean, based on what the program and how it's laid out, the quality, the content, this multi-access aspect, and an amazing group of attendees that have signed on. I mean, I thank you. Thank you both for all of this. Thank you for your time today, for, you know, just having some fun and just getting everybody excited, and for the work that you do, and for the work that all the attendees do. I think Informed is more on the map because of this pandemic than I think we've ever seen, with the supply chain and all the other issues. So what an experience. And so we're going to wrap that up, and we'll see you all soon, either live in person or on camera virtually from Anaheim, California. Take care, everybody.